Hi there folks, welcome back to RRTV. My name's Bernie Weemers and I'm here with Daniel Benefield tonight, and we're covering the Australian Skip Barber Strength of Field race. So it's Monday night at 9:15. Welcome Daniel, it's going to be quite an interesting race around Monza and the Skip Barber tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw yesterday at Montreal how much of a draft effect these cars have, so I'm expecting a pretty big group in this one with the number of long straights we have here at Monza.
Yeah, I watched the earlier race, and one thing the viewers are going to have to keep an eye out for is the huge trains we get with these Skip Barbers, and unlike other classes, they tend to weave a bit to try to break the slipstream.
Yeah, typical tactic, particularly in these lower power cars that have such a big draft effect, just to try and break the draft, and there's not much you can really do at the front of the train. If you're second or third, you can do a bit more in terms of the cars behind and really focus on the cars ahead, but if you're at the front of that train, you're going to struggle to keep the cars behind you.
Yeah, pretty much, and I noticed also they tended to swap a lot of positions, as you said. You know, once they get in that train, the guy in front tends to drop down through the field on these long straights.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got four of them here. We got the front straight, obviously, and then obviously that run through Curva Grande, then the straight going into the Scottish chicane, and then down into Parabolica once again.
Yeah, that's right, and the other thing the viewers should keep an eye out for is this first chicane when we start. We've got a total field of 16, and the guys are going to have to be very careful as they take that first chicane. I think it's a first gear corner in these cars, it's so tight.
Yeah, it definitely will be. It was a first gear corner when we were running the Grand Prix series here a few weeks ago now, so it'll definitely be a first gear corner in these cars.
Yeah, and then the other one is the second chicane. I don't know what we call that one. I'm not up with these names, you might know it, but there's some pretty big, what do you call them, those moundy things they run over? Ripple strips, that's what they're called.
The sausage curbs on the inside. Yeah, particularly hard, particularly at the second chicane, they are really high, so you've got to really, you can use them, but you've got to be really careful over them, make sure you don't damage the car.
Yeah, that's right, and yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this race. Now, having a look at the moment, folks, we've got qualifying going on, so at the moment we've got Smith in first with a 2:13.908, followed by Sooty in second. Feudal is in third, Gray fourth, Craig fifth, Keane sixth, Podajek in seventh, Spencer in now Spencer's ninth, and Duffin rounds out our top 10 at this stage.
You definitely still got about 5.5 minutes left in qualifying, so obviously once that time expires, the drivers can finish the lap they are on. But Ben Smith on pole at the moment by half a second over Colin Suddy. So once again showing the pace that he did yesterday at Montreal in the Australian-New Zealand Skip Barber Championship.
Yeah, and there's quite a gap from first to last at the moment. We're looking at poles on the 214s, and back at 14th, Stratford's sitting on 218, so there's quite a speed difference between the guys tonight.
Yeah, definitely not the close tight stuff that we saw yesterday, but you'll find even at that second or two back, just the draft of these cars, and I reckon we'll have half the field just sticking together in one big bunch, and they won't be able to break away from each other, so it should be interesting as Mick Gray just moved up. In fact, Florian Feudal just moved up into P2 with a 14.0, just a tenth of Ben Smith. Mick Gray in third as well with a 14.3.
Yeah, and Ben Smith just set the fastest lap, a 2:13.760. So he's just really trying to hang on to that pole position at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, qualifying is important here, but not as important as it would be at other tracks with the draft and all that. As Mikhail Potetsky just sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Mikhail probably did, but he just moved up into 7th with a 14.8. So we got 2nd through the 9th at the moment, covered in the 2:14. So actually turned out to be quite a close qualifying at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is, and one thing about the strength of field race, folks, it's getting stronger every week. We had a total of 46 drivers enter tonight, and because this is an iRacing official race, it's been split into 3 even splits of 16, but it's great to see some of the European drivers joining us for this race. Last week we had Mikko Nasi, and he really showed the guys something at Laguna Seca. And tonight we've got a few new names like Mikhail Podajek. So welcome, Mikhail, and hope you have a good race.
Yeah, definitely. Still top 5 unchanged. So we've got Smith, Fidel, Grace, Suti, and then Keane running out the top 5 at the moment. Quite a few ERA cars in here with Ben Smith, James Keane, Anthony Mancarella in 6th as well. We also got Richard Craig, who was involved in that massive accident yesterday at Montreal. He's currently qualified P9, just 4 thousandths ahead of Kevin Henderson, who blew his engine yesterday. He's currently in 10th.
Yeah, Kevin's been having quite a bit of trouble with the engine in the Skip Barber this season. I've noticed he's blown that engine probably at least 3 rounds this season, and it seems to happen on the downshift, so he must be very aggressive on downshifting this car.
Yeah, you can't do it too much. I mean, the engine braking does help the car a lot, but can't do it too often, or else you'll do what Kevin's done yesterday and a couple of other times this season and blow your engine.
Yeah, the Skip Barber engine seems quite fragile on that downshift, and it doesn't take a lot to over-rev it, and it'll just go bang. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, obviously a sequential box, but not the pedals that we see in like your Indy car and your F1 car. It is a sequential stick box, and it does require the blipping on the downshift and the upshift. So very hard to get these cars down the gears without blowing the engine up, and very hard just to get them down in general if you don't get your blipping right.
Yeah, that's right. You really have to control the downshifts to the braking, I guess you could say, with these cars. But one thing interesting about this in real life, they can't do any left foot braking in these cars.
No, they can't. Obviously, you need the clutch, so that means you've got a heel and toe as well, so it makes it fairly interesting, especially when you're in a battle. So qualifying's over now, so we've got Ben Smith on pole by half a second over Florian Fidel. Colin Suti 3rd, Mick Gray 4th, and James King rounding out the top 5, Bernie.
Fantastic. And looking at 6th through to 10th, we've got Mancarella on 6th, 7th Ashby, 8th Craig, 9th Podajek, 10th is Henderson.
Rounding out the field, we've got Troy Duffin 11, Matt Spencer 12th, Ian Ford 13th, Jack Flood in 14th, Ian Ford's 13th, Matt Stratford in 15th, and Matt Morris rounding out the field of 16.
So the guys are just gridding up now. This is always a nervous time, isn't it, for the drivers when they sit on that grid for the minute or whatever it is before the race starts?
Yeah, definitely. As we shouldn't be too far from a start here, Bernie. Just waiting for the lights to come on and then go out once again. Res rise. Can't really hear them if they went with the skippies. They are very quiet cars. In fact, I think they do have the 2 minutes since they got the qualifying before to grid up, that is.
Yeah, and that would feel like an absolute eternity for these guys. You could hear them revving them, just wanting to go.
Yeah, definitely. Watch out. I mean, we've got some quick guys further back. We've got Richard Craig, Sonny Nathan, Troy Duffin staying alone. So watch for those guys to come through. Obviously, Troy Duffin reached the podium yesterday in the Australian New Zealand Skip Barber Championship from Montreal. So we know he's got some pace in that number 16 car this time around for Troy Duffin.
Yeah, and the lights are coming on now, folks, so we're under starters orders. The revs will be rising, and they will be going very shortly.
Green flag.
And the lights are out, and it looks like Smith's got a good start. Fidel can't really match him. Sudi's there. Fairly even start across the top three, but a little further back. Mick Gray not getting a good start. He's got 2 ERA cars in the form of James Keane and Anthony Manzarella right up behind him as they come into the first chicane.
And let's hold our breath, folks. Can they get through this chicane without any carnage?
Oh no, they can't. Mick Gray's upside down and in the gravel trap's done a full roll. And I think that's going to be his race done straight away.
Yeah, pretty much. He'll have to limp that back, and as we can see him reversing back here, we'll just have a quick look at this replay, folks, and see exactly what occurred here.
So it looks like Anthony Mancarella has just gone around the outside of James Keane and Mick Gray going into the right-hander and put Anthony on the inside of Mick Gray, and Mick Gray's just turned in. I'd have to put the blame on Mick Gray for that one, for not leaving Anthony any room.
Yeah, he definitely squeezed the driver on the inside there, didn't he? And jumping back to live pictures now, folks, we've got Benjamin Smith out in front with Feudal in second, very close in second. We'll probably see the slipstream kicking in down this back straight.
Yeah, definitely, and they got quite a reasonable gap over Colin Suti in third, so it wouldn't surprise me actually if these first two actually managed to skip away from the rest of the pack. Suti's all on his own at the moment in P3. Then you got Anthony Mancarella currently fourth, leading that big train of cars of at least 5 cars, 6, 7, 8 cars there. A little bit of front wing damage from the contact in the first chicane, but hopefully it won't hinder him too much.
And we're riding on board with Feudal at the moment. It was quite interesting to actually see he got that slipstream and then he just chose to lift a little bit, so obviously he's quite comfortable sitting in that second position at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as he's looking to the inside of Ben Smith now at the end of lap 1, obviously will lead at the line, or will it be Ben Smith? No, Ben Smith will lead at the line, but I wonder if these guys are just going to play a bit of cat and mouse just to see if they want to be in front or in behind, coming into coming out of parabolic, I should say, on the last lap.
Yeah, the feeling I had there, and I may be wrong, folks, but the gut feeling I had was Feudal was testing just to see if he could actually pass Ben Smith before the finish line. No doubt he's already contemplating that last lap move.
Yeah, definitely, and Ben knows where he wants to be as he goes straight back around the outside of Feudal through Curva Grande to take the lead back.
Yeah, and we know Ben Smith's quite an aggressive driver, and we know he loves to lead, so he's definitely... Oh, and we've had Matt Stratford go off here in the chicane. He was lucky not to collect the wall there.
Yeah, he was in that train in behind Anthony Mancarella in 4th. Obviously, that's going to drop him back now to 14th, more than likely. We had Mikhail Pokto not start the race, I believe. And obviously, we've got Mick Gray in the pit lane at the moment, just coming out using his quick repairs, however, very far from the back of the field.
Yeah, that's right, and I think I'm not sure if he got a tow or not, but from experience, Daniel, how long does it... Oh, and we've got Jack Flood off as well. He's nearly got it into the wall there.
Yeah, a bit close for Jack Flood. It looks like can't see the front of the car at this stage. I think there is some wing damage there for Jack Flood, but that unfortunate accident. Obviously, James King has dropped back as well. So we've got James Keane has dropped back, obviously Jack Flood and Matt Stratford as well. So a few guys going off in the last lap or so.
Yeah, that's right, and Benjamin Smith just leads Feudal across the line there, and he set a new fastest lap of 2:14.100.
Yeah, both these guys are almost a second quicker than Colin Suti in third that time around, so these two have broken away from the rest of the field. Suti on his own in P3 at the moment, probably hoping that these two battle a bit harder or get into each other and have an accident. As bad as it may sound, it's the only real chance he has of winning this race already for Colin Suti.
Yeah, that's right. They've pulled a 2.9 second gap back to Sudi at the moment, and he's pretty much in no man's land there because he's got a gap back to Ashby of 7.8 seconds.
Yeah, and Ashby's leading that train for fourth, so you got Ashby fourth, Mancarella fifth, and Richard Craig sixth, and actually they've pulled away and from the other train, and now you got this second train that's currently being led by Troy Duffin in forward there as well. Matt Morris and Matt Spencer at the back of this train.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like Matt Morris and Spencer are dropped off a little bit from Ford and Duffin, but we'll see if they can pull them back.
Yeah, they need to work together to be able to do it, and we'll see if Matt Spencer has a look into this Ascari chicane. It doesn't look like he does. It's going to be hard for these guys though. Obviously, in Ford will work with Troy Duffin up ahead, so it's going to be hard for those guys to catch back up.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because the other two ahead of them are also slipstreaming. But I guess with Colin Sudi out by himself, if the guys behind him, Mancarella and Craig, work together, they'll probably pull him in. But saying that, they were like 3 wide down that back straight.
Yeah, they need to work together, but now you've got Ashby leading this group for now. Who knows who'll be leading it into the first chicane, as they are 3 wide, Ashby in the middle, Keane on Ashby's left, and then Richard Craig on his right. Richard Craig looks like he's just going to jump in behind here, which probably isn't the worst idea in the world. That's pretty smart driving there from Richard Craig, as he's actually outbroken himself very close to the back of James Keane's car there.
Yeah, he was so lucky that he didn't tag the back of Keane. And I've noticed Keane's also got front wing damage, so he's obviously had a bit of an altercation earlier on.
Yeah, these guys aren't helping themselves in chasing down Colin Sudi at all, as they're still side by side coming through Curva Grande. Richard Craig's got nowhere to go. So it looks like Keane's going to take the initiative and take 4th place into the second chicane, and he does.
Yeah, and it looked like Craig dropped back quite a bit through that, so obviously Craig's struggling a little bit on those chicanes.
Yeah, I wonder if given Keane and Ashby run a bit wider through the first Lesmo there. I wonder if Craig just after the first chicane broke a little earlier than he normally would, just to make sure he didn't get as close to the back of Keane's and Ashby's cars. Yeah, that Ashby's now on the inside of Keane coming into the Scottish chicane, and we'll get it done before the braking zone. Very good move there from Grant Ashby.
Yeah, it was a good move, and Craig's going to have to watch himself here. He doesn't want to let these two get away, because if he does, it gets out of that slipstream, he's going to drop back.
And I tell you what, Ian Ford is actually broken away from Troy Duffin in the background, so hopefully if these guys keep battling, they might have that ERA car to deal with, as well as now Keane back to the inside of Ashby into the Parabolica now. Can Ashby hold around the outside? It is possible to hold the car around the outside here through Parabolica, but it looks like Keane's made it stick for now for about 10 seconds before Ashby, as Ashby looks to the inside of him now down the front straight. What's Richard Craig going to do? He's going to try... Okay, he's going to go to the inside of both of them. They're 3 wide. They're 2 wide as Ashby just clears Keane. Now Keane's to the inside of Ashby. Richard Craig's ended up at the front of the train. He was 6th about 15 seconds ago. So now the train's completely reversed in order from the order they were. Oh, and Ashby's around, coming out of the first chicane, I should say.
Yeah, he just got his wheel off into the gravel trap there, which spun him around, unfortunately.
Yeah, it should be interesting now as Keane's coming to the inside of Richard Craig. I wonder if these two, now that it's just the two of them, if they're going to work together and try and catch Colin Suti up ahead.
Yeah, well, now with Ashby dropped off, these two could probably afford to work together and stop this battling to try to get further up. But saying that, it looks like Richard's quite racy there back in 5th.
Yeah, he needs to be there through the Lesmos to make sure he is close enough to Anthony to make full use of the draft. Pardon me, sorry, Bernie, but it'll be... oh, that's not going to help at all as Anthony's defending a little bit. Oh, Craig to the inside now. So obviously these guys don't want to work together at all, and Richard Craig's going to go back into 4th.
Oh, they nearly touched wheels there too, so it's definitely on between these two.
Yeah, I don't think they're worried about Colin City up the road, so I think if the racing keeps going as it is, Colin's pretty safe than P3 at the moment.
He certainly is. These guys have dropped back, what is it now, an 8-second gap just with this battling going on.
And it was only it was less than 7 at the start of the previous lap, so they've dropped over a second of this lap alone. So I think Colin's pretty safe as we just going back to Grant Ashby actually, because he's actually rejoined quite a far away. He's just in front of Matt Spencer, so he's actually dropped behind Ian Ford, who's racing in Troy Duffin. Ian Ford looking to the inside of Duffin now. I know just up the road as well, Richard Craig and James Keane swap positions once again as Ian Ford gets the job done on Troy Duffin for now.
Yeah, and having a look at our leader at the moment, we've still got Florian Feudal having a great battle here with Benjamin Smith. These guys are pretty much inseparable at the moment, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely that's what the draft does. I mean, Ben Smith was half a second faster than Florian Feudal in qualifying, but obviously that draft has kept this race alive for Florian. Be interesting to see if Ben's playing the smart game though. Obviously, being a 12 lap race, so where does he want to be? Does he want to come from behind? Does he want to be in front? Well, these guys at the moment are just testing out where they want to be on that going into Parabolica on that last lap.
Yeah, that's right, and one thing that would be tricky with these guys, I don't think they've raced a lot against each other, so at the moment it's a bit of an unknown what sort of pace both these drivers have that they can bring out later in this race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the difference between league racing and official series racing, is that in league racing you know who you're racing against week in, week out. In the official series, you could be racing anyone as Ben Smith comes to the inside of Fordle going into Parabolica now and takes the lead back. Fordle, I'm sure, will have a go back at him, back on the inside, and will take the lead back actually coming out of Parabolica. Interesting, a good run there for Florian.
Yeah, he's definitely got that car hooked up, because the tendency with these skippies is they really want to push coming through Parabolica, and his car really hugged the inside there.
Yeah, as Ben Smith uses the draft to get back past him for the first chicane. So even though they are continuously swapping positions at the front, they are still pulling away from Colin Suti, so they're not holding each other up as much. It's just some very smart overtaking between these two at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Colin Suti's actually dropped another 2 seconds off these guys since the last time we saw him. The gap's now 6.3 seconds to the leaders.
Yes, as Florian just thinking about the inside going into the second chicane, but smartly just stays behind. And that's what Florian needs to do. He doesn't need to pull out a dive bomb from nowhere. He knows that he's got the draft and that it's pretty much a 2-horse race now. So he's just got to be smart. He's just got to test where he wants to be for that last run into Parabolica. And don't be surprised if these guys will quite happily lift going in through the last lap if they are where they want to be.
Yeah, that's right. We've already seen a few of the drivers lifting there to hold their position, and I think Florian there is testing, like the last move on the inside through Parabolica. He wanted to see if he had that pace, which he does, so he knows he's got the upper hand through that on the last lap.
Well, definitely. I mean, at the line that last time around, he was the 10th up on Ben Smith. So if that was the last lap, Florian would have won the races. See if he does it again here. Yes, he does. Florian to the inside of Ben Smith through the Parabolica. Now will Ben's crisscross him like Florian did the previous lap? Yes, he does. Will he have enough though to be able to lead this lap? I believe he will. Neck and neck. This is going to be tight actually at the line. So this is going to be interesting if we're in this sort of situation at the end of the race. Ben Smith led that lap by 0.04 of a second over Florian. So I wonder if whoever's leading, it's going to be interesting because obviously if someone makes that inside move into Parabolica, the undercut is working by the time they get to the start-finish line.
Yeah, that's right, and now Florian would know that. No doubt he was testing that move to see, motor racing is quite a high-speed game of chess, and we can really see it with these guys just testing each other to see what move's going to work and what's not on that last lap.
Florian just lifting out there. He could have gone to the inside of Ben coming into the second chicane, but decided to keep it at Ben a little squirmy under brakes there. Using all the curb and all the exit curb as well. These guys are really pushing hard.
Yeah, he certainly is, and we're going to do a hang on with Florian down this back straight from his cockpit, just so the viewers there can hear if he lifts or not.
Yeah, he's a little further back this time around, so he'll come up to the back of Ben. Now Ben's starting to swerve a little bit, trying to break that draft as they come up to the Scottish chicane.
Yeah, and we could just hear Forward Lair starting to feather the throttle to sit back on the back of Benjamin Smith through here.
Now it'll be interesting to see if he goes past. It wouldn't surprise me given the last lap around if Florian stays behind Ben for Parabolica and then passes him into the first chicane, or is he going to prove me wrong? No, Ben defends. Okay, so now this is different. This is the first time we're seeing Ben defend into Parabolica. Now Florian will probably crisscross Ben here unless he can hold it. Now that's different again. This is what I mean by these guys testing. Ben held it right as close to the inside of the track as he could, coming through Parabolica, just to make sure Florian couldn't get that inside 9. There was only 100 between them that lap around, so I'm not sure if Ben will do that on the last lap, because if Florian gets just a slightly better run than he did around, he'll probably win the race.
Yeah, that's right. That gap Florian went through was 0.016 at the line.
Obviously not the closest finishing margin if that was the last lap, but still not the closest finishing margin we've seen so far this weekend. Obviously with Cam Stark winning the Indy 500 yesterday by just 0.08 of a second.
That's crazy. But getting back to the race here, Ben Smith, he definitely knows now if he's in front, defending is probably not the best move for him.
Well, it's going to be interesting because whoever's in front will want to not defend into Parabolica, knowing that they can pull off that crisscross move, but they'll want to, whoever's in second will have to go for the inside anyway. So it'll be interesting to see, obviously Ben trying that move there to the inside, maybe just trying to simulate if he is in second coming into Parabolica on the last lap, to see if he could hold it on the inside and win the race from there.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's had a few questions answered now, and he's going to try something different this lap through with 4 laps remaining.
Yeah, he's holding a tenth or two back from Fordle as they come through the Scottish chicane. It'll be interesting. I could be proved wrong here, but I'm not sure if Ben will actually even get close enough to make a move into Parabolica.
Yeah, he's getting the draft now and he's looking on the inside, but he's going to tuck in at this point.
And sure enough, you're grouping wrong, and he was close enough to try and make a move. Never mind, because obviously I don't know much at all. Florian got a really good run though. That inside line for Ben isn't really working in terms of momentum. Obviously, if he's in front going into the last lap, it can work, but if coming from behind, it's not really working, as here comes Ben now to the inside of Florian coming down the front straight.
That's right, and that gap was 0.2 of a second at the line, so really for Ben to have a chance at winning this, he has to be leading, I think, coming into Parabolica.
Yeah, definitely leading, and he won't not defend. Yeah, that outside line gets the better run out of Parabolica, whether you hold it around the outside or do the switchback. Obviously, Florian, if Ben does do the switchback, he'll be alert to it and hold that car on the inside and try and make Ben go the long way around.
Yeah, that's right. And while these two battle it out, with 3 laps to go, folks, we'll give you an update of the top 5. Ben Smith, of course, is leading at the moment with Feudal in second. In third, Colin Sutti's pretty much holding station there, 8 seconds down from the lead. Richard Craig and Anthony Mancarella are having a ding-dong battle back here for 4th and 5th position, as well as Troy Duffin and Grant Ashby.
Yeah, also Matt Spencer and Ian Ford look like they're having a bit of a battle as well for P8 as coming back to the lead. Florian Feudal now to the inside of Ben Smith coming into the Scotty chicane. So obviously Feudal would prefer to be in front going into Parabolica, which doesn't surprise me at all, seeing the runs these two have been getting from the outside and from the leader. And it's going to be interesting now Florian defending. He's driving down the opposite white line now. Ben Smith to the outside coming into Parabolica.
That's right, so here we go again with a different scenario, and we'll see if Feudal can hold him off, pushing Ben to the outside. But yeah, this is going to be close.
Yeah, Ben should get the run out of Parabolica here, and he should lead this lap. Mind you, Feudal hasn't got that bad a run. The thing is, Benny, pretty much every lap we've had a different situation. It just depends what situation will these guys be in come 2 laps time. Obviously 2 laps to go now, as here comes Feudal to the inside of Ben Smith going into the first chicane. But if these guys are in a whole new situation on the last lap, who knows who will win.
That's right, but one thing we do know is Ben has tried to defend and it wasn't successful. Feudal also tried to defend and that wasn't successful, so either way, probably don't try to defend.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key. Whoever's out in front, they've got to, even though they know that car's there, they've got to tell themselves in their head as Ben comes back to the inside to not defend. It's so much the opposite to what you'd want to do, and that's why it's so hard to do. I mean, these guys, whoever's in the lead coming into Parabolica, I still don't know, as Ben's pulled out a little bit of gap, I should say, over Florian on coming through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2 now. But the thing is, not only obviously we're seeing the gains with the different situations and all that, but I highly doubt it, but one of these guys sandbagging just to sort of let off as if their opponent something that will work in their mind, but in reality won't, as Ben just covers the line a little bit coming into the Ascari chicane.
Yeah, that's right, and it was quite interesting there. Feudal was actually lifting probably about 400 metres out to stay behind Ben.
Oh, Feudal was right coming out of the chicane there, lucky to get away with it, as now coming into Parabolica the second last time around, Ben defends. So let's see who leads our Parabolica this time around at the line. Obviously, when they come around, there'll be 1 lap to go. So this is the last dress rehearsal for these guys to see what strategy they're going to take into the last lap. And it looks like Ben's holding that inside line again rather well. And I don't think Feudal, if Ben holds that line, I don't think Florian Feudal will be able to win the race. We just got confirmation at 0.5 of a second, 0.05 of a second in Ben's favour at the line.
Yeah, and I have a feeling next time we come through Parabolica, these guys aren't going to be so nice about it.
Yeah, I'd say whoever's on the inside is going to give the outside person about 1.1 car widths to fit that car, and it's going to be whoever gets a better run off, obviously, will win the race to the line. As Ben just holding the lead now as they come through Curva Grande. It'll be interesting to see what Florian does here. Will he want to take the lead, or will he want to hold second? It looks like he wants to hold second for now.
Yeah, he's been lifting pretty much down half of that back straight there.
Yeah, so Florian, now is he doing that to set himself up to have the lead going into the Escada chicane, or does he want to be second going into Parabolica? Most of the times when Ben's been leading into Parabolica, he's been leading at the start finish line, so that's a bit risky for Florian to do that. But obviously see now, as Florian's got a good run on Ben coming down into the Escada chicane, is he going to let? Yes, he is. So now, here's the situation then. Ben Smith will be leading to Parabolica for the final time. What can Florian do to win this race?
Yeah, I think Florian feels he's a stronger driver at this point, but it really comes down to now the Parabolica as Florian starts to look on the outside.
That was very key. Florian got a very good run coming out of the Scottish chicane. He's already alongside Ben Smith. Pretty much as soon as they exited the chicane, this is going to be key. Can Ben hold it on the inside? Does he have enough of an advantage through Parabolica to hold it? He's going to drift wide. Florian braking a bit earlier. Ben's not going to give him much room. Florian's going to try and take it to the outside on the run to the line. Is it going to be Ben Smith or is it going to be Florian further? This is going to be close. I think it's going to be Florian though. As they hit the line, who is it? It's Florian Fidel by 0.03 of a second over Ben Smith.
Wow, that was close. And having a look back further, folks, we've got now Richard Craig. He's actually got quite a gap over Mansarella there for third position. So something must have happened further back.
For fourth, Colin Suttie had probably the quietest race of all time in third, just 7.5 seconds off the lead, as Grant Ashby comes across in sixth, Troy Duffin seventh, in fourth, just holds on to eighth, ahead of Matt Spencer, and then Matt Stratford will come across the line in 10th.
Yeah, and then 11th we've got Jack Flood just coming across the line now, followed by James Keane. James was quite off the pace in this race, it must be said, tonight. Oh, and someone's just blowing the motor in the background.
Yeah, I think actually he had an issue in the first lap or two, because he was down the back after lap 2. So I think James Keane had a bit of an issue. Matt Morris is currently holding 13th as he comes through Parabolica. Kevin Henderson not too far behind him either, and these guys probably won't change positions. They're also going to have Matt Morris in 13th, Kevin Henderson in 14th, and obviously Mick Gray, who had that incident at the first chicane, coming home in 15th.
Yeah, that you were right in calling that earlier. That incident with Mick Gray pretty much ended his race there and then, didn't it?
Yeah, it would have been interesting. Obviously, that also scattered the field, and it probably would have been a 2-car race. Had that not happened, it would have been a bit interesting. But things happen. I mean, it was his own fault in a way. I mean, he didn't really give Anthony anywhere to go as they came through the left-hander on the second chicane.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it looks like we've got Ben Smith in the green room, so we might bring him up and have a quick chat, Daniel.
Hey Ben, very close race between you and Florian there. Obviously off the start, pretty much straight up you two breaking away from the rest of the field and then just playing mind games for 11.5 laps. Just describe though, like your sort of mindset throughout the race.
Yeah, I guess the first half of the race, I was just trying to make a big enough gap with him that we could kind of jostle a bit in the last half. But the entire last 6 laps was figuring out what the last corner was going to be, and that was it really.
Yeah, obviously, I was saying as you guys were going around each lap was a different situation. Everyone was in a different place, and Florian sort of played it a bit differently on that last lap and sort of put it all together, being on the outside but braking early and really giving himself a good run through Parabolica.
Yeah, he did what I tried to do in the previous race, and that didn't pull off for me. So I went for the alternate move, and I didn't quite get what I wanted. I wanted to slow the car up on the apex of the corner and hope that he was going for a run and it was going to block him off and he'd have to get out of the throttle a bit, but that's not how it worked out. And it's just unfortunate that I don't know what the gap was, about 102 I think. So it was close. I just wanted the shortest run to the line possible.
Yeah, definitely. We saw that look right up against Pitbull coming to the line, but 300s between you, so can't be too disappointed. Very much a draw track here, and very much mind games and where you want to be and what you think is best going through Parabolica for the last time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's classic draft track. You just got to be in the right place at the right time and have it all figured out.
Just before we let you go, any shout-outs or anything?
Yeah, huge thanks to Maverick Welding for being on board of the ERA Skip Barber, and thanks to the boys at ERA for having me again. Well done to you guys on the commentary as well. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. We also got Richard Craig, Bernie, in the green room, so we'll just bring him up. Richard, quite an eventful race for you tonight.
Oh, they made me fight every single inch of the way, didn't they?
Yeah, it was definitely close. Obviously, there was that 8-car train early on, and it slowly dwindled down, and then it ended up just being you and Anthony towards the end there.
Yeah, it was quite exciting. I was hoping that we weren't going to duke it out like that, and that we'd stay in touch with Colin. But I think after a couple of laps, that clearly wasn't the game plan of the other guys, and it was going to be all on lap after lap. So I just had to hang in there. I saw Grant in my rear vision mirror sort of spear off on the exit of turn 1. That was a bit of a relief. Sorry for Grant, but he was a good threat. And then duking it out with Anthony, and it slowed us down so much you wouldn't believe. But it was great fun,
Yeah, obviously a good recovery. Not the best qualifying as well. Qualifying 8th, but in saying that, Anthony qualified 6th and was just 700s faster than you were. But good recovery to finish 4th. Yes, it was 23.8 seconds off the lead, but do you reckon if you got the draft of Florian and Ben early on in the race that you would have been able to keep up?
Well, I've been in the 13s. I don't know that I'm at their pace, but I certainly would have been able to stay with Colin. Colin and I drive around the same pace. Unfortunately, I messed up my quali. I sort of tensed up, made a couple of mistakes, tensed up, and then went too hard to try and get one, and of course that never works, especially around here. So, yeah, I did. I messed it up, something shocking, but I knew the guys, and no one gets away. So, yeah, I knew I was going to be in with a shot. It's just a case of, and you waited it out. And speaking of waiting it out, so that's the second to last one to go until Lagos next week.
Yeah, so obviously we'll hopefully see you there.
Yeah, definitely. That wraps up the championship, and I think we need a party at that point, Bernie. We've done some hard yards this season, mate.
Yeah, we certainly have. And speaking of hard yards, Richard, how hard was it to adjust from Circuit Villeneuve yesterday to have to step back in the car at Monza today?
Well, I'm extremely wary of those chicanes at Circuit Villeneuve. I just loathe them, to be perfectly honest. So getting a track that's basically flat, even though you've got in that second chicane, you take a bit of a bang, but this is nice and open, and it encourages you to go fast. It encourages you to go too fast, actually, which is the little hidden gem of this secret. But so I feel more comfortable here, but my racing during the week here has been woeful. I've just done the last 2 races. I've been literally taken out from behind of every other race until now. Lost 700 iRacing, so it's been a disaster.
Well, it was still a good drive, up to 4th from 8th on the grid today, Richard, and we'll see you next week out into Lagos then.
Yeah, and thanks, Bernie. We're nearly there, mate. Really big thank you to RRTV for sticking with us on this awesome effort, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, no worries, Richard. Tonight's race was quite entertaining, and hopefully the viewers will really enjoy the skippies at Monza, and we'll definitely be back next week for Interlagos.
Cheers, guys. See you there.
That was Richard Craig, everyone. We've also got Matt Spencer in the green room, just bringing him up. Now, Matt, quite an eventful race, obviously, being part of that train pretty much the whole race, as it this was that really long one early on, and then it disintegrated into 2 separate ones. Just give us a viewpoint on like how you were racing, obviously Ian Ford for pretty much the entire race.
Yeah, I was pretty much just trying to keep out of trouble. I'm just happy to be up in the top split in my first season of racing the Skippy, and yeah, try not to do anything too stupid on a race that's getting broadcast. But yeah, Ian did well to stay in my draft at the end and pick me across the line.
Yeah, don't worry, I know what it's like to do something stupid in a broadcasted race. I've done it many a time before. But obviously starting 12, so you did make your way forward 3 positions. Obviously we had a couple of cars, one car not start, and then another, Mick Gray had that issue in the first chicane. Was it obviously been a little further back, had heaps, enough time to react to it, but it sort of separated the field early on.
Yeah, that's it. Could see the magic gearbox smoke being released up ahead, and luckily had enough time to keep out of any of that. So yeah, I guess that's the advantage of being in the mid pack, or as I was at the start, a bit further back even.
Now, obviously as well, you ran the Australian-New Zealand Skip Barber Championship yesterday, running the official series today. Obviously a big difference between Circuit di Villeneuve and Monza.
Yeah, that's it. Well, to be honest, they're similar in some ways. You know, they're both those quite drafty tracks, and with the crucial chicanes sort of scattered through. But obviously, Monza on a much larger scale for the track.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Interlagos next week. So looking forward to racing there.
Yeah, I've never raced there in the Skippy yet, but I've done some Mazda time trial laps when I was just trying to switch licenses at one point, and it's a great fun track. So yeah, it should be really interesting to see what it's like racing the Skippies around there. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Just before we let you go, any shout outs or anything that you want to give anyone just before we call it a night?
No, just another shout out to Ian for a good place victory over me at the end there. Yeah, I sort of started a bit of a battle and cost us both a bit of time throughout the race. So yeah, it was good to see him get over the line ahead, and yeah, he did well to do that even with a slowdown in the last lap.
Matt Spencer, everyone, completing our interviews for tonight, Bernie, and relatively close race across the field, but obviously that battle for the leader continuing throughout the entire race.
Yeah, it was definitely quite an interesting battle, wasn't it? And it was great to watch those two guys try different strategies leading up to that last lap. So that pretty much includes our coverage for today's race on RRTV. Just to finish off, driver of the race, Bernie? Wow, I don't really know who the driver of the race would be out of that. I think I'd probably, it's so close between Feudal and Smith for driver of the race from me. Probably give it to Feudal, I guess, because he seemed to be pretty much on top of that strategy.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely executed it pretty well, but to be honest, I'm going to give it to the driver that finished third. And Colin Sooty, very lonely race, but still only finished without a draft, only 7.6 seconds off our winner, Florian Fidel. So just throwing through the results quickly, we've got Florian Fidel winning by 0.03 of a second over Ben Smith. Colin Sooty third, Richard Craig fourth, Anthony Mancarella finishing 5th. Grant Ashby finishing 6th. Troy Duffin 7th. Ian Ford in 8th. Matt Spencer 9th. And Matt Stratford recovering from that earlier accident to finish in 10th.
Yeah, and then in the 11th we've got Jack Flood, 12th Keane, 13th Morris, 14th Henderson, 15th Gray, who was involved in that first lap incident, and Potacek did not start tonight's race.
Well, that will conclude our coverage here on RRTV of the Skip Barber SOF from Monza. Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
And before we sign off, folks, remember Thursday night we have the final round of the Star Mazda Australian Championship coming to you from Phillip Island. That broadcast will start at 8:35 p.m.